Identifying the suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Hi guys, my name is Barry and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I've got a special guest on today. I've got Darren from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. Say hello, Darren.
Hey folks.
Hiya. We're going to be talking we're going to be talking Halloween Ends today. I know that Darren has spoken about it on his channel and I've already spoken about it on my channel, but I think it's always good to get someone on talking to us about Halloween Ends, because there's some things that when I'm talking about the trailer and I notice certain things, there's nobody there to either back me up on what I'm saying or counter what I'm saying as well. And I don't know if you see this yourself, Darren, but when you're watching something and you say something to someone, well, did you see that? And then they'll say, oh yeah, I did, but that's not that, that's that. And you're like, oh yeah, so it is. I don't really get the chance to do that all the time when I'm just doing it myself. So I think that's why it's better to talk to someone about it.
It's good to bounce off somebody now and again, isn't it? And get a different opinion. And you know, I hats off to you and thank you for inviting me on. That's a real treat for me. It's just a shame Frank couldn't be with us as well, but I'm sure he'll be watching when this goes out. I hats off to you, because I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do a channel by yourself and talk to yourself all the time like that. I'm so used to having somebody to sort of bounce off of that. Going in there, I mean, we did a couple of kind of solo episodes recently, and that took me ages to kind of get my scripting right and get used to talking by myself. But to do it day in, day out is just good for you. I mean, I love the channel. I always have done. So, congratulations on the success of it. It's just huge.
Yeah, thanks very much. I didn't know it was going to be this big. It's still not massive compared to other people. But
it's
yeah,
huge,
I feel like
Barry. It's absolutely huge. How can you say that? What have you got? Like nearly 30,000 subscribers or something?
Nearly 29,000 subscribers. Yeah,
and proudly
not
the biggest horror channel in Scotland as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've kind of narrowed that down to be the biggest in Scotland, biggest horror,
biggest horror channel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt like I was talking to myself anyway when I didn't have a YouTube channel. You talk to your wife and say, "Oh, this horror," and she's like, I don't care. And I'm like, okay, I'm just talking to myself. So I might as well talk to myself with an audience, and I think that makes it a lot easier. But I'm glad to have someone on to talk to and bounce off with as well, because it's a welcome change as well. And obviously, Halloween is a good one, and you're a very smart person, Darren, so I think we can...
Oh, I don't know about that bit.
You might be. You're smarter than me. But we'll go into the trailer itself first of all. How did you feel the trailer went? How was it structured for you compared to the other trailers that Blumhouse have given us? Not just with Halloween, but with other horror-related Blumhouse projects. How do you feel it went?
Well, first off, I saw this in the middle of the night because I woke up and I don't know why I woke up. Something was telling... I'd had a conversation with Dave the night before, and he was saying, I've got a feeling that this is going to drop tonight. This is going to drop tonight. And I said, you're probably right. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I just thought, I'll just glance at my phone. This was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was just buzzing with all the channels that we all know and love, just going live and giving their opinion on the trailer. So I watched it without my glasses on. I couldn't find my glasses, and I watched it. It was just kind of this blurred mess. And my wife thankfully didn't wake up while I was looking at it. But initially, I was just like, I can't really tell what's going on there, so I'll watch it when I wake up. I watched it when I woke up, and I just thought, wow, this looks really interesting. But then as we all kind of start to watch it frame by frame and things start to unfold, my opinion kind of has sort of swayed a little bit. I think in terms of how it feels against all the other Blumhouse trailers and Halloween movies is, it's good to have a trailer that gives very little away on first watch.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It appears not to give too much away. And to the casual horror fan, it doesn't give anything away. It's just Halloween nerds like us who go really deep into these things, scrutinizing every frame, that kind of start to uncover things. And when you've got so many Halloween channels, you might discover something, and Dave might discover something, and then Lee discovers something, and before you know it, we've all sort of figured it out. It doesn't take long.
Yeah, and I think that's, even when you're scrutinizing it and going frame by frame, it's, even when you think you know what you're seeing, it also raises more questions when you watch it again and again. You're like, okay, I've watched it again, I've seen that screenshot. That just makes me question things even more now, because other people like Laurie, Jamie Lee Curtis, she'll say things like, it's going to blow your mind, or Nick Castle say, oh, it's going to have a massive twist. And they raise questions, but none of that appears in the trailer. So when you see the trailer, you're like, right, that's not exactly how you've explained it to us. And then when you watch it frame by frame, you see things and you're just like, is that what that is? Why are we seeing that? Yeah. So even though it doesn't give anything away, you can always break it down and think things are being given away. But to me, the trailer itself didn't give much away, even when you try to break it down. So I think this is, in terms of not giving things away, this is the best trailer for Halloween that Blumhouse has released. That's what I think. Anyway, what about you? Yeah.
On face value, I think you're right. Absolutely right. I think when you first watch it, because it does really just concentrate on one moment of the film. Judging by what the people are wearing in it, it's judging on, it's concentrating on one part of the movie, and a very small part of it as well, because the trailer's only a minute long, and there's a kind of lead into it as well. And then there's also some legacy moments in there too. But I on face value, I think it is a great trailer. Although my worry is that all the other trailers were cut like that specifically to rope in non-Halloween fans, I think. Yeah. To kind of give context to what's going on. But for us, who kind of live and breathe this stuff, it was kind of like being hit over the head, wasn't it, multiple times? Yeah, we know this, we know that, we know. Do you know what I mean? There was too much in there for us. But with this feels more like a movie for the fans, I think, because watching this trailer as an outsider, if let's for argument's sake say you've only seen Halloween 2018 or you've only seen Halloween Kills, or you haven't seen either of them, it's not really going to rope any new fans in, I don't think, because you're just kind of thrown into the middle of a set piece, not knowing what's going on without any context or, you get the sort of legacy cards that are on there, 40 years or whatever, and then the shots from the original Halloween, but I don't think it does anything for roping in new fans.
Yeah, I think you have to be dedicated to the franchise at this point in this trilogy. It's sort of like watching Return of the King. You need to have watched the first two movies of the Lord of the Rings to get what's happening, and that is same with the Harry Potter movies and stuff. So with this, you have to know what you're getting for with Halloween Ends, whereas H18 was all about, oh, here's a new franchise for new people. Let's get you into it. Halloween Kills is that bridge. But with Halloween Ends, for new and old fans at this point, I think my only issue with the trailer is it's showing the same thing again, Laurie versus Michael. And you're like, right, okay, this was it in Halloween 2018. Yeah. Halloween Kills, she took a back seat, but the trailer still was heavy-handed on Laurie versus Michael. And then we're getting the same thing again, Laurie versus Michael. So that's my only worry is it going to be rinse and repeat? Are we going to get the same thing over and over again? Yes, some fans like to see that, and I like to see that, and I liked it in 2018, but because we already had that showdown and we were introduced to these new characters, I kind of wanted to see a little bit more of them in this teaser trailer. Give us Alison versus Michael, if there is going to be Alison versus Michael, or give us a little variety. I know that Jamie Lee Curtis is the face of Halloween. She's the one that's calling a lot of the shots, but it gets to a point where it could be a little bit too repetitive, do you think? Yeah.
I think so, yeah, especially when it puts things up there for their final confrontation. It's like it's the final. It's in this timeline, it's their it would be third actually confrontation, because they weren't confronting each other in Halloween Kills, were they? Yeah. but they did bill it like that was going to happen when the Halloween Kills trailer came out. You know, evil dies tonight and everything, and so yeah, it's what would this be? It would be, so you've had it in Halloween 78, Halloween 2018, and Halloween Ends. And then, but we've seen it before in Halloween 2, we've seen it before in H2O and Resurrection. So technically this is what, the 6th time that they've squared off against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll always watch a Halloween film. And as I keep saying, you know, after, you know, the first film I ever saw was the original in about 1981. And I think it's just incredible that 40 years later, we're still talking about Halloween movies. And even if they carry on making them, I'll still be following them. I don't really want them to make any more Halloween films, but I just think there's a buzz and an excitement and a community that comes together when they do bring one out. And I think for a few years before, you know, until they decide on what they're going to do next, the horror community is going to be pretty sanguine, I think, for a little while.
Yeah, I think Blumhouse know that as well. Whether it's going to be with Blumhouse or another company, and you know, Malak Akkad will have his eye on something. But I think, although fans are moaning about it just now, oh, it's the final confrontation again, when is this going to end? Like you said, no matter how much it annoys you, you're going to go and see the next one anyway, whether it's going to be in this timeline or a reboot, remake, prequel, sequel, requel, whatever you want to call it. They're all going to be there anyway. And that kind of leads me on to my next point, where out with the trailer itself, where is Halloween Ends ending? You know, what's going to happen? From what you see in the trailer, it doesn't give much away. Where do we see this going? You know, in the synopsis, it says that only one of them will survive. Where's that going to go then?
I think it'll be Michael.
I
honestly think that they will kill Laurie, and because Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, her story's over. She's in her early 60s now. I think she has to die. And the reason why I say that is because you can't kill the boogeyman.
Yeah.
And they've been living by that motto for 40 years, be it, you know, on posters, in trailers, in the original film. That's the kind of immortal line that comes out all the time. You can't kill the boogeyman. Carpenter signs all his signatures with "you can't kill the boogeyman" when he's signing Halloween memorabilia and things. And I think that they'll stick to that. I honestly do. I think it'll be ambiguous. I think the ending will be ambiguous. And I would like to see him just, I mean, Frank, when we discussed this on our channel some time ago, he said to me what I think would be the perfect ending. And that is, something happens, be it, I don't know, there's an explosion or there's a fire or there's fog. And then when that kind of dust settles, Michael's just gone and his mask is just left behind on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's almost like his work's done and he's finished. He's done everything. Laurie's dead. Whoever else is dead, and he's finished now. He's an older guy. He's an old dude. He just vanishes into the night, and that's it. End of David Gordon Green's trilogy.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good ending. I think ambiguous would be the best ending if, you know, if Laurie dies and maybe you don't know if Michael dies or not, don't leave it obvious.
Yeah,
I think that would be the best ending for Michael, so that I don't want to say they can leave it open for a sequel, because the only worry is if Blumhouse lose the rights after they've made this perfect ending, if they make it a perfect ending, then Malak Akkad might say that, okay, I'm going over to Warner Brothers now and saying, I've left it open, do you want to do a sequel to this, or do you want to reboot it? And my worry is they'll do a sequel to it and not ruin what David Gordon Green done, because you can't ruin it, you can just ignore what's coming next, but ruin the whole idea of that being the ending, because they've done the exact same with Halloween H2O. You know, they didn't leave it ambiguous. They thought, this is it, it's done, and lo and behold, they found a way. So yeah, I think leaving it ambiguous is a good ending, but also leaving it in that way that you know that is the end, especially to this timeline. That's the very end. I don't mind rebooting it in years to come, doing a sequel to whatever you want, but to this timeline, to the David Gordon Green timeline, that's it. I don't want to spoil the latest James Bond. Have you seen the latest James Bond?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think leaving it like that would be the best way. Make sure that's that one done, and then when you reboot it later on, it's completely different. I think that's the best way to go. Whether you kill the person, or, Michael, or not, make sure you know and your audience knows that this timeline's done. You know.
Do you think that they should leave the Myers saga alone for a little bit? Maybe so they end it at the end of this trilogy. They carry on with Halloween, but in a different form, and then maybe revisit it further down the line.
Yeah, I always said that. I think don't call it Halloween though. Like have a Season of the Witch type of movie that you could put characters from Halloween movies in it as a nod, so that when you do make another Halloween movie, maybe some of those characters can appear, maybe not be main characters, but appear in that Halloween movie, knowing that it's part of the universe, but not like you have to see these movies to watch the next one, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or maybe the Conjuring movies. Conjuring movies not so much because they're loosely part of the universe. So do something similar, make it loose, you know?
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, I would love to see them do something with Season of the Witch, because I'm a huge fan of Halloween 3. I never was when it first came out, because I was just like, what the hell is this? You know, where's Michael? Where's Laurie and Loomis and everything? And they just weren't there. And it's only kind of over time that I've grown to really appreciate the fact that it is quite a unique little entry into the Halloween franchise, and as you said, should never have been called Halloween. But I do like the fact that it Easter eggs Halloween throughout, kind of subconsciously. You know, with the fact that Dick Warlock is there, almost playing a maskless Michael Myers.
Yeah, the robot.
Yeah. And there's kind of a few moments like that where you think this wouldn't be out of place in one of the Michael Myers Halloween movies.
Yeah.
So I'm always a bit, and of course Atkins as well is in it, so that's always a huge plus with me. But the score is just fantastic. Some of Carpenter and Alan Howarth's best work.
Yeah.
So I've always been a fan of well, I say always. I've grown to love Halloween 3, and it kind of has a special place in my heart at the moment, just because I think it's quite unique horror film for the 80s. Which I would love to see be remade. And there are plenty of... I've tried to recast it in my head, and we did it on our Facebook page recently, and there's opportunities for recasting Dr. Chalice, and, you know, I think it'd be really good. It might work as a kind of mini-series on Paramount Plus or something like that. But I would... Yeah, Peacock. You know, I'd love to see them do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I'm a fan of Season of the Witch, the restricted. I've got all the masks and stuff, and I was like you, like when I first watched it, I'm like, where's Michael, and you don't appreciate it when you're younger watching it, you know, but watching it as an adult, you're like, wow, this is so atmospheric. And they kill a kid as well.
And they kill a kid. Yeah
it's
fantastic.
Was it, I can't remember, was it Dean Cundy that done the cinematography?
He did. Yeah,
so it's got that Halloween feel to it.
It does.
The score, cinematography, it's a beautifully shot movie. So it was very underrated back in the day. But do we see that happening again, that they bring out this anthology style movie and nobody gets to grips with it, or they go, nah, it's just not the same, it's not Michael? I think that's why we need to make sure they know that this isn't a Halloween movie, this is just in the Halloween universe. We've got Michael Myers is coming, trust me, but this is just to, you know, whet our appetite in the lead up to the next big Michael Myers movie. Something like that, I think, would be the best way.
Yeah, I think they need to give it a good, 5, 6, 7 years before they start diving back into it again. Yeah. And then that would mean that it's so if they did it, that would mean that it's a good 10 years since Halloween 2018, which I think is enough time. Because there's a kind of another generation, I guess, that are coming through that might learn to appreciate it. And if they do reboot it and start again with the whole story again, I know it's been tried before with Rob Zombie and you know, for me, it kind of failed miserably. I wasn't a big fan of those. He kind of humanized Michael a little bit too much and gave him too much of a story and tried to even make us sort of sympathize with him. Yeah, which I don't want at all. Would you like to see a similar, a kind of almost, no, I don't mean like a Psycho type remake. Remember the Vince Vaughn Psycho film, which was just shot for shot? Would you like to see something that's kind of similar to the 78 original, or would you like them to change it slightly?
Honestly, it depends how they execute it. I think not shot for shot, but I would like to see a different type of Halloween movie set in the 70s with the same atmosphere. And it's hard to replicate it, but give us that old school feel. I don't know how I'd feel about maybe giving us a similar story, but in a different time, like a different era, like an 80s Michael Myers where he's younger, or a 90s or a noughties. You know, that he kills his sister in 2002. And then 15 years later, he's back again. You know, make it modern. But it's a fine line. I think,
I'd be worried that a bloody cell phone's going to get in the way of things half the time, and you know, I always think that's late 70s. I mean, nostalgia is a huge thing anyway at the moment, and I don't know if you saw the Samaritan trailer yesterday that dropped, the Sylvester, which I thought was fantastic, but it is kind of a love letter to the 80s again, to that kind of action movie or buddy movie, however which way you want to look at it, from the 80s. But I always feel like late 70s, early 80s is my ideal setting for a horror film.
Yeah, and it gives you an excuse.
Get in the way.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, it gives you an excuse to do things that you don't have to go, oh, there's no signal on my cell phone. You don't have to do that because there is no cell phone, so you kind of eliminate all the tropes of today that you have to try and say, they're not calling the police for this reason, that reason. Well, if you set it in the 70s, you don't even have to question that because there is no cell phones, there's no Wi-Fi. That gets eliminated. So I think that adds to the eeriness of these movies, knowing that if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you've got nobody to contact, no way of contacting anyone. So I think that makes it scarier because you're setting it back in the day. So I think if you are going to reboot Halloween, remake it or whatever, set it back in the 70s. I think that's maybe a good way to start it. So yeah, going back to the trailer itself for Halloween Ends, do you think that we're going to get another trailer?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it was, what was good about that was it was a teaser, and people have forgotten how to make teasers. You know, back in the sort of, I don't want to sound like somebody who's reminiscing about the 80s all the time, but the 80s and 90s, we used to get great teasers. You know, do you remember that, like the T2 teaser?
I was going to say that,
Yeah. I mean, there was all sorts of they would just tease you. They would just show you a logo or teasers were specifically made just to be teasers, not chunks of scenes from films. And we seem to have lost that, and so we get teasers these days that are 2.5 minutes long, and they're like full trailers. And you can't distinguish between a teaser and a trailer anymore. So I think, you know, obviously you will get a full trailer because they'll need to shake the marketing up before it comes out. So definitely, I would imagine around the same sort of timescale that we got the full length trailer on the last one, which would have been around about September time.
I think that, but I know Halloween Kills went overkill with the trailers, but Halloween and any other kind of horror trailer these days, when they release a teaser trailer, it's usually a lot earlier, and then you get your first full trailer 3 months before. Then you get a final trailer, maybe 2 months, 1 month before the release. This one, they've kind of toned it down. It's a teaser trailer, even though did they call it a teaser trailer?
I think, whether they did or not, I'm not sure, but it certainly is a teaser. It's
it's definitely a teaser, but I think they just called it official trailer. You know, they didn't call it a teaser, so there's no guarantee that we're going to get another trailer, but I assume we're going to get a final trailer.
Sure.
Hopefully, though, they don't spoil it.
I think Halloween Kills also suffered as well from the pandemic because, you know, they teased the film during production with that kind of, what was it, like a 30-second just B-roll thing of behind the scenes and Jamie Lee on the gurney and all that kind of stuff. Then they, not long after that, I think when they did Bloomfest, they teased it again and gave us another 30-second trailer. Yeah. Then the date moved. Yeah. So you had like a almost like 2 to 3 year process of marketing the film, and by the time they were bringing out their trailers, you could literally piece together the movie pretty much. Yeah. So it was a shame. It was kind of a victim of the pandemic a little bit, where the marketing was concerned. Yeah. But I wouldn't want to see too much more. Maybe another 90-second trailer. I know in the UK we like short trailers because in cinemas like to play very short trailers so they can get as many marketing opportunities in as possible. So that's when you go to the cinema nowadays in the UK, you will get maybe 6 or 7 trailers that are all about a minute long. The US, however, love full 2.5, 3 minute trailers. I would just like to see a nice kind of minute 90-second trailer. It's not rocket science. We don't need the whole plot kind of explaining to us like it was in the other in Halloween Kills. They show way too much. I just think something that kind of gives a brief overview of what this story is, doesn't show us too much, maybe shows us some of the similar stuff that we've had in the last trailer. And then, that'll be enough. Less is more, I think, with this.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they market it for people who are going to want to see the movie because they've seen the first 2 movies. So get into it and not knowing what's going to happen is the best way forward. We want to know that it's a sequel to Halloween, and we want to know that it is a sequel to Halloween for people who are not that fussed. Yeah, so if they see a 90-second trailer for Halloween Ends, they don't really need to see what's there. They just need to know that it's coming, and that's it. And it's the same with us. We don't need to know the whole story. We just need to know that it's definitely coming, the date that it's coming, and that's it. And I'm hoping that Blumhouse kind of stick to that so that it just doesn't give too much away. And that was the big issue with Halloween Kills. So far, I think they're doing it right. We didn't get a trailer until under 3 months to go, which is great. We only got the poster the same day as well. So we're not getting as much marketing as the previous movie. Some people think that's a bad thing, but I don't. I think 3 months onwards is the best way forward because it keeps it fresh in our minds. If you show a trailer that's 6 or 7 months till the movie comes out, you'll kind of forget about it anyway until the final trailer comes out, So why market it too early? Market it 3 months to go and then build that hype. Give us a final trailer if you have to. Don't give anything away. And then a week to go, give us a TV spot. Don't spoil it for us because we want to go into that movie fresh as a daisy, not knowing anything.
No, I agree completely.
Yeah. So next I want to talk about Corey and the trailer. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know anything about Corey at all. People spoke about him before the trailer, and I ignored it because I didn't want to read too much into it. But obviously the synopsis explains that Corey is a character and we see him in the trailer as well. What's your thoughts on Corey before and after the trailer? Corey Cunningham?
I didn't really. A lot of people said they were hearing about this character for some time. I didn't. I remember seeing the still of Allison and Laurie with him. I think like a bus or something like that, aren't they? They're in a restaurant or something, and Corey's sat behind them. So the 3 of them are in. Yeah, there's a shot where 3 of them are together on set. And I had seen that photograph, and I'll be honest, the actor isn't somebody that I'm familiar with. I know a lot of people do know of him, but I don't. And then when the synopsis came out and it started to tell us more about it, and that it's seemingly he's kind of tortured from some incident that happened with him as a kid, and he obviously in some capacity is linked to the Strodes, I guess. And And then I noticed that he was in the trailer as well, in the sewer sequence. That was my first on first or second watch. So okay, that's Corey there. Then as other channels started to watch it and kind of really break it down, and I think you've done some of this yourself with is there more than one Michael, and you know, who is this, and the ring on the finger and all that kind of stuff. It does seem like there's some sort of copycat out there, presumably Corey, but to what extent he's in the movie as dressed as Michael, I wouldn't like to hazard a guess at all. It does feel like this because we've recognized that Michael isn't in all these shots in the film. I'd love to know how many shots he is actually in. Michael Myers is actually in this trailer. But a lot of them appear to be Corey. What role he plays in terms of how much he's dressed, how long he's dressed as Michael, I really don't know. But I'm kind of a little bit on the fence at the moment about, I'll reserve judgment until the movie comes out. But as it sits at the moment, I'm kind of getting a little, I'm going to say I'm getting concerned because there's only a film at the end of the day. I'll just say that I'm not too keen on the way things appear to be panning out, having watched the trailer and listened to what other channels think.
Yeah, I think it was quite bizarre that the synopsis kind of confirms that Corey is more than just a side character. You know, he's going to be a main character. Because at first I thought, when I heard about this character called Corey, I just assumed that he would be the replacement for Cameron and just be either a boyfriend, love interest, or just a friend, like Oscar. But they go to the extent of making it known that he's more than just that side character that could die in the first scene or whatever. So I think it's a strange choice. I think it's going to be hard. I'm one of the ones who loved Cameron, and it'd be hard to replace not only Cameron as a character, but Dylan Arnold as an actor. I think, I don't know if you've seen him in anything else, but he's a fine actor. He's a really good actor. And I think he really shows it. He shows it in Halloween Kills a lot. So it's going to take a lot for someone to replace him as that teen male character. So now that we know a little bit more about Corey.
Some people are saying that he's Allison's boyfriend. I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm not sure. But if he is somebody that's kind of obsessive about Michael, maybe he's kind of getting his kicks from getting close to the Strodes. That's, you know, in my head, these are just little things I'm piecing together. And in terms of why they've gone this direction, I think originally the whole trilogy was going to be set over one night. I think that's kind of commonly known now, isn't it? And I just wonder why they've decided to kind of make this switch and go a different route. Now, I know that David Gordon Green, you know, was kind of he was battered a little bit with the reviews for Halloween Kills. It felt like to a lot of people diminishing returns. And I wonder whether he's tried to, rather than just kind of carry on down a sort of linear route of this stalk and slash movie, I wonder if he's thought, well, I'm going to try to do something different with it. And maybe people like the critics and the fans will applaud me for that. Trying to do something different. Even if it doesn't work, at least he's tried. That's what I get from this. He's obviously trying a different route. Whereas, to be honest, I prefer a much more sort of straightforward, small, linear, claustrophobic, creepy Halloween movie.
Yeah, I think he might feel himself that he can't win when it comes to what direction he wants to go in. Because on one hand, yes, we want him to do something different, and what he's doing looks like it might be different. But then on the other hand, some people might say, why do you do that? Why are you going that route? Why are you doing the Curse of Michael Myers? Why are you doing Season of the Witch? Just keep it simple. But people only really question that after they've seen the movie. So if they like it, they'll go, that was a good choice, David Gordon Green. But if they don't like it, they'll say, why did you do that? We wanted this, we wanted that. And then you're kind of like, well, if that's what you wanted, you shouldn't have went to see Halloween Ends if you knew it was going to be different. So it's sort of like a lose-lose situation for David Gordon Green unless the movie is good, both critically and box
Yeah.
office wise. He got himself into a pickle with this, and I think changing from one night over 3 movies to the 4-year gap, time will tell if that's going to be the right move.
Yeah, and he's got so much riding on it as well. He's got the Exorcist trilogy that they're saying, but if this doesn't work out for him, it's going to be the microscope is really going to be on him when he takes on the Exorcist. Because the first film, I know it's got its haters. The 2018 film, I mean, by the first film in his trilogy, was critically lauded, wasn't it? People really did like it, and I think it's still fresh on Rotten Tomatoes around in the 70s somewhere, which for a slasher film is just kind of unheard of, really. But then from then onwards, it's kind of they got too clever for their own good with it, putting it in Venice, which essentially is a kind of upmarket art house festival a lot of the time. Putting it in there, I know it wasn't in competition, but sitting it in front of those critics, you're gonna get absolutely stamped on, and that's what happened. It came away from Venice with reviews that were absolutely stinking, and they were on the back foot then, trying to kind of, cover up lost ground, and it was a difficult time for him and for the movie. And I think that this time, I don't think you'll see it pop up anywhere like Toronto, or I think if it plays anywhere, it will play in a horror festival, not some upmarket competition like, even though it's not in competition, but not some upmarket festival like Toronto or Venice. I think you need to know your market. You need to know your audience as well. I think they obviously got a little bit too big for the boots. If they just kind of settle down, know their market, know the audience that they're aiming for, then I think it will do good. Whether it's a great movie or not, I think it can still do good and fix itself from what happened in Kills. I'm not saying Kills is a bad movie. I really enjoyed Halloween Kills. I watched it the other night again with my wife. It's the first time she saw it, and she thought it was good as well. She's not into horror films, but when she watched it, she thought that's decent. And I think compared to other films that's got those budgets, compared to 12 movies and franchises, it's one of the better 12th movie in a franchise that you've seen. Look at the Amityville Horror and Hellraiser and all that. It's still decent. It's a decent movie. And I agree with you with regards to Kills. I think that I feel that there's a decent movie in there. The Tivoli section and The Evil Dies Tonight just collapses the film, pretty much like the Sartain moment did in Halloween 2018. The Tivoli moment is the Sartain moment for Halloween Kills. And I think the first 40 minutes or so are actually really good. And then after the Tivoli scene, I think the rest of the movie is really good. The showdown in the street, Michael losing his mask, the fight, the scene with Cameron and Allison in the house, I think is terrific. Cameron's death is brutal, and I think that it's such a shame that he tried to do, each time so far David Gordon Green's tried to do something new, it's failed. And that's what kind of worries me about Halloween Ends. He's trying something new again. It failed with Sartain and it failed with Tivoli. I'm just worried about this Corey thing. And I say worried, I'm not worried. Doesn't bother me. It's a film at the end of the day. I just don't like the way that the direction that he appears to be taking it.
I think the Tivoli thing is more a representation of everyday life. People are the mob mentality. I think he's trying to incorporate that into Halloween movies, and it doesn't really fit. I'll be honest, I didn't hate the Tivoli scene. I thought it was okay. I think it was quite gut-wrenching for the guy, and I think being in that situation in real life, I think that would be horrible. And I think it was too long, and it was too on the nose as well. But I preferred the Tivoli scene to the final scene, where it's like a music video with Laurie narrating. The finale, everything's in slow motion. Like, oh, it was like a weird music video, and I just didn't get the right vibes from it. I think Tommy is a legacy character, and Sheriff Brackett is a legacy character. They're dying to the beat of Laurie Strode's narration, and I'm like, that's not the way they should die. They need to die when it's just Michael and Tommy on screen. Tommy's begging for his life. Tommy's speaking. Hearing Laurie Strode in the background saying, Michael Myers, you're like, oh no, that's not the way I wanted that to end. That was my major issue with Halloween Kills, the ending of that. I just think it didn't. I know it's a bridge between 18 and ends, but they could have easily done that better. Some people like the ending, some people don't mind that kind of music video style ending, but it wasn't for me. So I think the Tivoli scene to me isn't as bad as some people say, because I thought the end of Kills was the worst part. I liked the street bit. I loved when he picks his mask up and puts it back on again. The score was fantastic.
The score's great, yeah,
you hear it go. I just thought that's fantastic. That gave me goosebumps. Even the fight scene was goosebumps. It's only when Laurie started talking and everything went in slow motion like a dream. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. So hopefully I don't see any of that in ends.
Do you think that we will get any sort of confrontation at the start of the movie of Halloween Ends? Because obviously she's walking off with the knife to go and confront Michael at the end of Kills. Or so it would seem. Do you think that it's going to start 4 years later? Or do you think we might get a kind of section of the movie that at the start that's actually still on the same night and then it skips forward?
Yeah, I think they might do it both ways. I think either they're going to start it in 2018 and then skip forward 4 years later after the intro, after the pumpkin scene, or we might get 2022, blah, 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 and then they might go flashback to 2018 as to how Laurie got to where she is in 2022.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it. I just think that we will see at some point in the movie 2018 where Laurie discovers Karen's body, because you can't leave that. You can't just go, that's what happened, and then they just talk about it in 2022. We need to see the effect. We need to see Laurie's face. We need to see Alison's face. How do they react to seeing their daughter or mother in that situation? Maybe, like you said, you see Laurie leaving at the end. Maybe we'll see her looking for Michael, but finding Karen instead, but Michael's nowhere to be seen, and that's it. So I think we will see 2018 at some point in the movie. I don't think it'll take up a huge chunk, maybe 10 minutes or so, just to explain how we're getting from there to there in 2022.
Yeah. Do you think they still live in Haddonfield?
I think so.
Wouldn't you move? Wouldn't you get out of that town?
Well, they tried to do that realistically in Halloween H2O, which is the perfect example of good writing. You wouldn't live in Haddonfield, you would move to California, but people say, oh, this is rubbish, it's not set in Haddonfield. They're like, well, if you want Laurie Strode, you're not going to have Laurie Strode sitting in Haddonfield. It just wouldn't make sense in the real world. So ideally, it wouldn't be set in Haddonfield, but realistically, it's what the fans want. I don't mind if they leave Haddonfield. Haddonfield's not the character that we want to see. It's Michael Myers. So Michael could go to Disneyland, and as long as he's there, people should like it. But I can understand why people want Haddonfield in it. But for the story, why would you live there? Why would you want to live there?
Yeah, it's the only reason I say that is because they completely changed the location where they were shooting.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's because they have moved away. There's two things about it. One is I possibly think they've moved away. And the other thing is the Myers house surely isn't still standing in this film. It's got to have been demolished.
Yeah.
You think over here in the UK, if something as terrible happens as what happened in Halloween in a house in the UK, they're just demolished, aren't they? They get rid of them. No one wants to buy a place like that. And I just wonder whether the Myers house will actually exist in this.
I wouldn't imagine so. Well, I hear that they burn it down. That's what I hear. There's no official synopsis for that or anything, but that's what they're saying. Laurie burns it down or whatever. I don't know how true that is. But people living in the Myers house in 2018 made a little bit of sense because it's the realtors of Haddonfield that own the house, so it seems like nobody wants to buy it. So the real estate agents are the only ones that would live in it.
Yeah.
But for a 40-year gap, maybe people would want to live in it so they can do their blogging and TikToking and all that. You know, that's something that you would do. But something so extreme and so recent as to Karen dying in it, and Cameron and Lonnie, I think they must go, right, this, you can't live in this. Nobody's living here. We're burning this down. We're breaking it down. Yeah. Building a home. Don't know. But yeah, I don't imagine anyone would want to be living in it if it is still standing.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you was, in the trailer, does Laurie look like somebody who's... When she screams, Frank and I talked about this on our show the other day, with those shots of her screaming, that's not a scream of somebody who's scared. It's like a scream of somebody who's frustrated.
Perfect.
Who's done something bad. And I just wonder, again, Frank and I talked about this, when the door opens and whoever it is walks in, let's say it is Corey, do we think she shoots him?
Well, my take on it, and again, don't spoil it if you know or if you've heard anything, but my take on it is he opens the door and she's got a gun ready, and he's not the first person to do this, and it seems like she's frustrated in the point where people know who she is. It's Halloween night. She knows that people are going to come and prank her. So when this guy opens the door, in my view, she points it and says, "Get the hell out of here or I'm going to shoot you," and then runs off. And then she comes downstairs because it looks like the same house, same clothing, and it looks like she's the same wallpaper and things. And it seems to me like she goes downstairs, chases him out the door, and after he leaves, she starts screaming like, "When is this going to end? Ah!" That's what it seems like to me. So she's frustrated. So maybe she doesn't shoot. There's no confrontation. She's expecting it to happen because she's got a gun pointing at the person already. So it seems like you say frustration, but I don't know if that means she's killed someone or she's done like something like Halloween H2O and killed the wrong person. But to me, I personally don't think she's killed anyone in that scene. I just think she's frustrated because it's taken over her lifestyle, even though she's trying to move on. And these people are still coming to her. "Oh, you're Laurie Strode. Oh, look at me, I'm the boogeyman." And she's like, "Beat it, scram."
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my interpretation of it.
Yeah. No, what Frank and I said was that perhaps she does shoot Corey, or Corey does end up dying. And when he's unmasked, she realizes who it is. And let's say he is in a relationship with Allison. It's that realization that her daughter's boyfriend, a granddaughter's boyfriend, sorry, is now dead, and that's where you get that because everybody around her is just kind of dropping dead all the time. So that was our take on it. We thought that maybe she does something, accidentally kills her own granddaughter's boyfriend. Maybe. I don't know.
You wouldn't want that to happen because it's happened before in H2O, but at what point in a 13th movie in a franchise, whether they're linked or not, you're obviously going to get similarities with death scenes. So I can forgive them if they do that. And people might say, "Oh, they've done that in H2O, what's that all about?" But at the same time, you're like, okay, well, they're running out of ideas in death scenes and storylines. So yes, things are going to be similar, like the waste disposal. We've seen that almost in Halloween H2O. So you're always going to see things that people might think is a nod. But in actual fact, it's probably not just a nod. It's just a coincidence that, there was a sink in H2O, of course. So we're going to get similarities now and again. So what you guys are saying is probably something that might happen more than what I said. I just hope that what I said happens more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure. You've got the better idea, Barry.
I'm not saying my idea's better. I just think for continuity purposes,
sure,
it makes sense because you're not going to. Well, I don't know. I'm not American, but you're not going to shoot everyone that comes into your house, are you? Because it could be an innocent person. It could be Allison's boyfriend. I think
the whole thing is that we thought that because she's dressed as she is in the sort of in the 78 garb and the pumpkin as well at the back of her, Laurie is frustrated because Michael wasn't interested in her. We still don't know whether Michael remembers her or not.
Hopefully not.
And Hawkins turns around to her in the last film and says, "It's not about you at all." And I think there's a frustration there with her with that. Because of the trauma, I hate to use that word, but that's one thing, the common thread throughout these three films. Because of the trauma that she's been through, she needs Michael to know what he did to her. And I wonder whether her dressing up in all that gear and the pumpkin, and when you get to the top of the stairs, when that shot goes to the top of the stairs, you can see someone else in that room. It's either Laurie, who moves quickly to behind the door, but you can see a hand on the back of the chair. And I wonder whether, and this was Frank's idea, is it Alison in the window combing her hair like Judith was? Michael comes up the stairs, and then they're baiting him. They're trying to trap him. And she wants him to remember exactly who she is and what he did to her. And that's why everyone's setting the scene as it was in 63 and 78. So that was another idea we had, but I'm not sure. I just don't know what the hell's going on in that scene. Someone else suggested it could be a reconstruction because she's writing her memoirs. She could be dressed like that because she's, the show in the UK, Crime Watch UK. They reconstruct murders, for God's sake. Perhaps that's what's happening.
I think the issue with that is, this version of Laurie Strode, for 40 years, she's been tormented by the thought of Michael Myers still being alive, etc. And this is just from Michael killing 3 of her friends back in 78. And obviously that's a big deal, but she's not been able to move on. She's got a bunker, a prison inside her house, and she's a prisoner herself for 40 years. But then when Karen dies and everything happens in 2018 that's a lot worse, she then decides, do you know what, I'm just going to move on now and I'm going to write my memoirs. It seems like she's moving on a lot faster when the people around her who are more important to her die than what happened 40 years earlier, So I'm hoping that's not what she's doing, writing her memoirs and all that. And I know she is writing her memoirs, but hopefully it's just a personal thing that's not going to be publicized like I don't know, like Loomis and Halloween. I mean, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Hopefully it's nothing like that, because that would be a little bit cheesy. But yeah, hopefully when she's writing her memoirs and what they say about that, it doesn't show on screen the way we think it might, because that would be a little bit too much.
Yeah, she's not kind of cashing in on it, if you like.
And again, it could be a dream sequence as well, which again we've seen time and time again, and that's her remembering what she was wearing, but that doesn't tie into the rest of the clips because she's wearing the same outfit in a lot of the kitchen scenes, etc. So it'd have to be a long dream for that to be the case. So I don't think it's a dream, but it is something that some people have said that they think it might be a dream. It's unlikely, I think so.
I'm still excited for it. I think that on face value, I think it's a really, really good teaser, and I love to see a teaser. Like we said before, we just don't get teasers anymore. I think Marvel now and again do them, but that's it. It was, the more you drill down into it, I think it becomes a little concerning in terms of the direction that they're going to go. But hey, it's a Halloween film, and we should enjoy them while they're still making them, I think. It's my favorite franchise. The first film's my favorite film of all time, and I'm just so happy that 40 years later, after that, 43 years later, 44 years later, we're still talking about this amazing franchise. Good or bad, it's always exciting to talk about it.
Yeah, and I know I feel the exact same way as you. I'll be watching your videos about the first time you saw Halloween. I've done one myself because of you. And I've seen Frank done one for the
Yeah.
Halloween 4, was it? He done it
That's
for?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've all got our own memories of these Halloween movies, good or bad. And I think maybe in 20 years' time, Halloween 2018 might be one of those movies where we go to and think, wow, do you remember that time a massive reboot happened and made $255 million at the box office? Let's watch that again. It's very nostalgic. And that's how I feel about Halloween H2O right now. You know,
Yeah.
20 years after that came out, 24. So, yeah, good or bad, whether you like Halloween Kills or not, I think in years to come, you might think the most brutal Halloween movie was Halloween Kills. I'm putting that on the old 4K, you know, whatever we're on just now. So, yeah, I think every movie has its charm, good or bad, and I'm hoping that this new trilogy, good or bad, has its charm in years to come. And I think that's hopefully what David Gordon Green is aiming for. He knows they're not going to be perfect. He knows they're not going to be as good as 1978, but have fun with it. And I think if you have fun, it might show on screen that you're having fun and make it a decent enough movie.
Look, they're not bad movies by any stretch. It's not like when I remember watching Halloween 5 for the first time and 6, and I was just like, what the hell are they doing here? Yeah. With these films, they have absolutely got moments of brilliance in them, be it the photography now and again, or James Jude Courtney and his performance, or some of the kills, you know. The kill with the doctor in the back of the car with the knife that goes into his eye. I think it's possibly one of the best kills in the franchise.
It's all practical as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was amazing the way they shot it. And it may even be one of my favorite kills in horror. It's the noise that it makes. And then when you learn afterwards that it was all practical and there was just a bit of trickery with reversing things, I just think, wow, you know, it's so effective. Yeah. So, you know, there's lots to take away from 2018 and from Kills for sure. And 2018 Kills made me appreciate 2018 more. Yeah. But Kills still has, I think, a decent movie in there. There's just a lot of kind of chaffle. There's a lot of nonsense that I could do without in a Halloween movie.
Yeah, I think some things that people have a problem with Kills is they're treating it like a true life crime documentary. Well, that couldn't happen in real life. How did he kill that person? How did they not get blown away by the fire hose? Don't question it.
It doesn't matter. What?
It's a Halloween movie. You know, have fun. I think if you know that it's a horror movie, I think you like it better. And I'm hoping that people go into Halloween Ends with the same mindset. You know, if Michael survives being hit by a car, or if Laurie can hold him back for 5 seconds, don't question it. Just enjoy it.
Enjoy it. It's not. Listen, it's not. This isn't high art or anything like that. At the end of the day, it's a slasher movie. Yeah. And just treat it as that. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way. That's the only way you can go into it. You know, it's a 13th movie in a franchise that's lasted 44 years. You know, that's an achievement in itself. So I think we have to applaud it for that. You know, my dad was 18 when Halloween came out. You know, I know I've got a son who's 11 years old, and we're still talking about Halloween. You know, so it's lasted a long time. So for the fact that it's going now is an achievement. So I'm looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh God, yeah. And unfortunately, I work in an industry whereas I probably will be able to see it before it comes out, which I have with both 2018 and Kills. So that's really exciting for me. I you know, they make a big deal out of these press shows and things. And, you know, you got Michael wandering around in the auditorium beforehand, a bit of cosplaying going on and lots of goodies there and stuff. And they make it a bit of an event. And I'm looking forward to that, hopefully, at some point, maybe early October, I think that will happen. But I can't wait. It is one of my most anticipated movies this year, along with The Samaritan, which I thought was great, the trailer. Very excited, and I'll reserve any judgment until I actually see the film.
Excellent. Well, just remember, if you do get early screenings, I'm your best friend. You know I'm your best friend.
Of course.
I'll travel down to wherever you are, and I'll be there. My wife wants to go on holiday in October.
Oh, wow.
to Spain. So I think we're going to leave on the Saturday, the day after Halloween. So I need to see it Thursday midnight and get my reviews out and stuff like that. The timing.
It's all tight.
Oh,
Let's hope
I
it
know.
doesn't get delayed a week.
Oh, if it does, we're cancelling the holiday. Yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thank you for Darren for coming on and talking Halloween Ends. I know that everyone's fed up of talking about Halloween Ends, but I think getting a different perspective and talking to people about it makes it a lot more enjoyable. But Darren, again, thanks for coming on, taking your time out to come onto the channel. It's always appreciated. If you haven't already watched or subscribed to Darren's channel, he does it with Frank Riker. It's called the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. I will leave a link down below in case you're not subscribed. But Darren, if you want to talk to the guys before you go, just to see what you do on the channel and things.
Yeah, so we've been going for about 2 years now. We started as an audio podcast, and then we moved over to YouTube just over a year ago, and it's going really well. People are digging the content. And obviously with all the Halloween stuff going around at the moment, we're doing a lot of Halloween content, and we have an episode coming out this week. I'm not sure when this is going out, Barry, but we've got a new episode coming out, which is things you probably didn't know about Halloween. And we thought we'd look into all those little tidbits of information that maybe get overlooked. And it's not the sort of thing like the Shatner mask and Robert Englund sweeping up leaves and all that kind of thing. This is kind of a real deeper dive to find out things you may not have known about the original Halloween, reading books and doing research and things. And we think we found a good maybe 8 or 9 facts that people may not have known about. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
that'll be good. Even if you say things that people already know about, I think it's still enjoyable to watch anyway.
People still watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Put in the obvious ones with your ones you found out that you think people might not know. Makes it a lot easier. Makes it a lot better. Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, again, I'll leave a link down below to your channel, Darren. Guys, if you have not subscribed to him. The quality of Darren's channel is great. His audio quality is top notch, and I keep forgetting to ask you, but I'll need to get one of the mics, Darren. So yeah, top quality. Frank's a funny guy. Darren's a funny guy as well sometimes. But, but again, it's like you said, Darren, if you've got 2 people on the show, you can bounce off each other. And I think that's the chemistry between Darren and Frank is fantastic. So if you've not watched them before, guys, check them out. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.